Family, welcome to another episode of Financial Freedom. I am your accompaniment on this journey and your host, Derek Brown. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, you can find us on Facebook and other streaming sites as well, like Roku, at The Hope TV. One word, same handle, at The Hope TV. Look, we have a wonderful show right now. One thing that's come up in the midst of this pandemic is that people have been getting retrained, going into different careers, really making a pivot in the midst of a pandemic. So once I came across this lady with a breadth of experience and experience in a pivot, I figured she would be a great person to interview on the show. And so we're going to be talking to a lady named Waukesha Stafford. And she made a pivot from being a nurse to now the president of a construction company. Her dream job was to be a nurse and went to school for it. And she ended up as the president of a construction company. And then she got an associate's in construction management, and another degree in business administration, another degree in accounting, another degree in business management. She's QuickBooks certified. She's Foundation certified. She is ready to go, but she's successful. She's intelligent, and she's someone we definitely got to hear from. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Waukesha Stafford.
Hello there, Derek.
How you doing, Ms. Stafford?
I am doing great. How are you tonight?
I'm good. Thank you so much. And like I said earlier, when we were talking before we even got started, as a woman like yourself, I'm sure you're busy. I'm sure you have other things to do. So thank you so much for making the time to be with us tonight on the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to come before your awesome audience. And thank you for just giving me an opportunity to just speak of my experiences. It is truly an honor. Whether you know it or not, you are truly a well-famed person. Hope TV has really blast. They have made their debut and they have really stuck and stayed. So I'm just going to say we're looking forward to bigger and brighter things as you continue to grow. So again, thank you.
Tell me more beautiful lies. Tell me more.
I would not do that. I would definitely not do that.
But one of my executive producers, Jennifer Carner, actually brought you to us, and I'm so appreciative of her. One of our other valuable team members, AC, facilitated so much. So whenever I'm given that kind of shine, I have to refer back to my team because they've been so good to me as far as allowing me to do this job the way that I can. So you just hit a milestone going back to your home city, doing something big. Tell us what that was.
Well, I am from Macon, just like Pastor. And as you can tell with him, myself, I'm the same. I love my city. I do. Yes, I do currently live in Atlanta, but I love my city. And Macon has afforded me the opportunity to go back and actually rebuild my high school, my alma mater. Not only the high school, but the middle school, because they're right beside each other. About a $45 million project. And for a minority company, that is huge. And to just go back, walk the halls before we tore majority of the building down, it was a bittersweet moment. So I really enjoyed that. Thank you. Thank you for mentioning that.
Definitely. That's beautiful. But it's a thing that you can go back to your home and actually make a tangible impact with a company that you're running. Like that's not everybody can say that. That's a wonderful thing. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, it is something different. It wasn't something I expected. If you would have come to me in my 20s and asked me or told me that I was going to be doing construction or even doing anything outside, I would have told you need to sit down somewhere because that was not me. So
let's dig into that because one thing I saw in your bio that was so interesting is that you were a far cry from construction. And with so many people looking at different things and even starting online businesses and trying to figure out if they should leave their profession, even though you may have made your decision at a different time, I think the wisdom is still important when you're trying to make that pivot. You started off having your dream job as a child being a nurse. Tell us a little bit about that, and was it because that was all you saw, or what directed you down the healthcare field?
It's one of those things that in the 70s and 80s, there were certain jobs that you looked at as those financially stable jobs. The health
Ah,
field
okay.
has always been that.
Yeah.
Additionally, I've always been that caretaker,
Mm-hmm.
attentive to people, attentive to detail, and I thought nursing fit that so well.
Okay.
I didn't want to be the doctor because I felt like the doctor was so, um, there was such a space between doctors and patients. So the nursing seemed very hands on, and I was so excited about it. And had gone into the part you don't know is that I had gone into the military. I had gone into the
Oh,
military as a medical specialist. So that was kind of my stepping stone to give me an
right.
eye opener to the field. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was really excited coming out of the military, having been a medical specialist. It was just a stepping stone for me. So to go into nursing was something I just look forward to. I thought it was going to be a great job to stabilize my future,
Mm-hmm.
and got there. And I'll be honest with you,
Please
the
do.
work was a little harder than I thought. To be
Okay.
honest,
Okay.
it was a little harder than I thought. But
Okay.
additionally, I was working for a construction company. And
Mm-hmm.
that was just that, that bridge to kind of maintain you while you're in school. So I
Right.
figured being in school, working, I'm good. So I'm at a
So let me ask
construction
you.
company. Go
Let
ahead.
me ask you this before we get too far off of the
Oh,
nursing
okay.
thing. As a woman, as a Black woman, did you feel welcome in the nursing field, or was it something that you still kind of had to forge ahead when once you got there?
I'm going to say that in the military, uh, in the nursing field, it was it was far and few.
Okay.
You did not see a lot of minorities in the nursing field, in the military at that time.
Okay.
Once I came out and went to class, it became more evident that
Mm.
minorities were not a very strong, did not have a very strong presence at that
Okay.
time. You
Mm.
saw a few, there were a few in my class, but not so many that, you felt like it was a 50-50 type thing. So
Mhm.
it was a challenge. I think part of that, our language, some of the background, it really counteracted us progressing in that field, even in the
What does that
classroom.
mean? Help me understand what that means. What does it mean with that background, your language? Is this because you know from a country part of Georgia, or was it? What do you mean by that?
Derek, did you just throw a crack at my city? Watch it now.
No.
You know how I feel
Look
about
now,
Macon.
look. My father's from
Okay.
Alma, Georgia. Okay, we
Oh,
both got
okay.
some.
Okay.
We both got some country in us now. I ain't connecting on nobody's city.
Okay. Uh, I just think the upbringing had a lot of impact
Mm,
on those things that I was preparing to
okay.
um, to encounter, in comparison to some of my Caucasian counterparts that probably had some exposure even prior to coming to the classroom, whether it was through an aunt, a mother, and maybe even other siblings.
Mhm.
There were not very many people who were in the medical field for me to kind of look to and obtain guidance in comparison to now. I will say that now I do know that to be very different. I have friends who are nurses, their
Yeah.
children are nurses, and
Yeah.
so it is a very different sector now.
Looking at those areas of how you became who you became, and then looking at what were all the influxes that interfered with all of the stuff. We don't like to do that. That's too much work, Selena. Sometimes you have to take it in small pieces, in small fragments. You can't just run through it and say, okay, let's merrily do this work. It'll be fun. No, it's not fun work. It's painful. But we have to do it to get through it.
Hey, Dad, I need your help asking Jessica to prom.
Of course. Love is like the ocean. You have to tread the
Oh,
waters.
Dad, that's not the kind of help I needed. Hey, Jessica. Will you go to prom with me?
Yes.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care can't wait to share their first with you.
So what did you see as a child? What were you exposed to? And how did you get from not even seeing the nursing part? What did you see that you could be as a young Black woman in the South or in the military?
Okay.
What did you see that became an option for you? Was it the military thing was the only option that you felt?
Well, honestly, yes. It was that or either obtain debt, by trying to go directly into school. So what I
Got you.
saw the military as a gateway to get me where I wanted to be. We did not have the money. We were a lower middle class family. Both my parents worked. They worked in a factory, Brown and Williamson, which was the factory for Macon at that time.
Right.
But we had not prepared. My mother attended college, but my father did not. And they had not prepared for us to enter college, myself or my siblings. My siblings, both of them obtained scholarships. And
Wow.
I had done the same, I'll be honest. I had obtained a scholarship and was
Oh
headed
yeah,
off to college.
your parents ain't raised no fools now. Y'all did it. I'm with it all day long.
So it was trying because we knew that the money was not there. And I think I was a little nervous about taking the chance of saying, hey, I'll definitely be able to maintain going through school and continuing to have the scholarship money there. So being the oldest, I said, well, let me show them a different path. And I thought going into the military, the GI Bill at the time was like this big rave. So there was money there for me to be able to go to school. So my thought was go to the military, get some training, but the main purpose was to obtain the money so that I could go off to school.
Got you. So you go into the military, you're in the medical field in the military. You get out, you go to school. You realize the dynamics as far as ethnicity, you're still a minority in the room. What help me understand here, because when I listen to your story and you're in nursing, you've been having this goal for a while. I know me. If I put up a goal for something, you will have a hard time telling me not to go or having me make a left or a right. You're in school, you step into this construction job to help pay the bills as you go. What kind of began to signal to you that you might not have to make a change?
Have you ever had an opportunity to step into a classroom or a setting and the anticipation of gaining knowledge or gaining any type of wisdom was not something that you notated as you walked into the classroom? And you go into the classroom and you sit down, and there's this abundance of wealth of knowledge that comes to you, and you get excited. Well, that's what happened with me. I had this job that I'm just going to, was not interested. Matter of fact, I was the only one at the job. He had just hired. This company had just started. It had just started. I come in and I am the only office employee. I'm the receptionist. So I come in as a receptionist. I'm sitting there majority of the day by myself. And I'm a pretty organized person. So I start to organize. And there were phone calls coming through asking questions. And sometimes I was not able to reach the right person. So I
Right.
said, I do not like stuff lingering.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to kind of peek through documents that I don't normally peek through. I'm looking at
Okay.
plans. I start to figure it out. I've
Okay.
kind of always had that knack. It's about like sports, there's no sport that I have not conquered except for hockey. I don't understand hockey yet. I haven't figured it out. But everything
Gotcha.
else, no one had to tell me. So that's kind of the
Hmm.
way I took on construction. I started to just kind of explore and became intrigued. Everything I was good at was right there before me, and it was in construction. Great in math. Uh, Little do you know, there's a lot of customer service. There's a lot
Yeah,
of interaction with people.
I would imagine.
And so my gift was able to flourish there. I was able to nurture people. So, yeah.
It's interesting because your skill set, math, nurturing people, service to other people, that's a very strong nursing thing, but you didn't feel that same type of pull and interest in
Yeah.
nursing, but you
Yeah.
felt it in construction, a field
Right.
that tends to be very male dominated. I can imagine
Right.
you feeling the same sense of minority in nursing that you have in
Yeah.
construction. So
Yes.
how so and then you also love sports. So
Yeah.
so I guess I'm trying to for those people who are thinking about making a pivot, if they're multifaceted like yourself, right? And they may have skills in one area, but they may see an opportunity in another.
Hmm.
What do I follow this sense of passion that intrigue that sense of intrigue? Or was it metered steps? I mean, one thing that we discussed briefly before the show started was, yes, it was a different time that you made the decision, but
Right.
still worthy of discussing because
Hmm.
it's not easy to make that kind of pivot. Um, what would you suggest for people who are looking at making a pivot in two different fields? I mean, these are nursing and construction are not similar.
Right.
they're, they're not similar. So it was the intrigue that you follow, the sense of passion. Would that be an accurate statement?
I would say yes. And
Okay.
on the surface, I would say nursing and construction doesn't appear to be the same.
Right.
But in
From the outside
actuality,
looking in.
yeah,
Right.
I'm gonna go to the construction terms. The foundation of it is
Uh-huh.
very much the same. We are
Hmm.
taking care of you. You're bringing your finances to us, your money to us, and saying, "Hey, we want this project." And I know you've heard of plenty of, whether it's through a show or whether it's through just personal encountering with someone
Right.
who has said, "Hey, I had a project at my home, and the gentleman really took me to the cleaners." I'm
Yeah, I have.
responsible for making sure that a project is coming together. I
Mhm.
am responsible for communicating what is going on between every trade and what the client desires,
Mhm.
all while balancing your finances. Because I have
Okay.
to maintain that budget. I've told you I
Mhm.
can do the project within a certain budget. I need to do all I can to stay within that realm and still give you what you desire. If it's not there, I want to tell you that in the beginning. I
Okay.
don't want to lead you down the road, and it happens where you're led down this road thinking what we have, the finances we have, is enough to get us all we want. And the responsible contractor is going to tell you from the very beginning what you really can have. I know with the church and all the things that have taken place construction wise with them, I guarantee you the finance committee, pastor, and all those who have been involved with it can tell you that there's a huge responsibility on the contractor, a good contractor that is, to be responsible with your finances.
So
And
let me
I
say this before you go too much further.
okay,
Because what I heard you say, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but there were transferable skills from nursing into contracting.
very much so.
So those skills created a bridge for you to be
Hmm.
able to say all these my detail orientedness, my ability to serve customers, my ability to look at your finances. When you come into the hospital, you bring insurance, you bring your money, and then
That's right.
we serve you the best we can, but then we have to pass you off to whoever has their job next. all those things transferred to construction, in which you're serving people and taking care of people in the similar fashion within the scope of your duties.
That's absolutely correct. And I would offer the advice I would offer to any young person that has started on a path and they're really geared towards this path, but they're pulled or they see some interest somewhere else. I would tell them, do not turn your back on that. Don't turn your back on that. There's nothing wrong with exploring it.
Okay.
Don't do it solely because of the salary.
Okay.
I believe wholeheartedly, no different than with construction, it will come.
Okay.
It will come. If I am responsible at that job, I believe all those things will come. I started off as a receptionist, $7.50 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't make $7.50 an hour now. Okay.
I mean, as a president, I hope not. Unless you are just a billionaire and you don't need the money and you really are doing this for the love. I hope you're not making $7.25 an hour.
By no means. By no means. So, but I would just encourage our young people. Now, and you're finding that out. I just listened to the Willie Moore Jr. show. And one of the things that they talked about is why more people are not returning to work.
Right.
It is because they are opening businesses. They are pursuing those things that probably have tugged at them the entire time.
Right.
And they're going to find that it's easier to pour into it. They're going to find that the hard work is worth it because guess what? It's been there. That tug has been there. Okay. And when you can pour into that and really plant the seeds, they're going to come up. They will prosper. I'm positive. And more than likely, it's where God willed them to be in the first place. So many times it's us that, make those decisions. Just like me with nursing, I made it based off of financial stability, desiring financial stability. So.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Jermaine Dolly, Mr. Hello Dolly himself. And guess what? You're tuned in to Tea and Worship with my homies, Mignon and Corey. Keep it out, y'all.
Hey, y'all, it's Candy West, and you're watching Tea and Worship with Mignon and Corey.
It's your boy James Fortune, and you are watching my favorite news show, Tea and Worship, with my sis Mignon and Corey.
Hey, let's check out this park. That's really cool.
To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
Yeah.
So let me ask. When you were getting ready to make that pivot, did you talk to anybody? Did you call your mama, your daddy, your sisters, anybody? I know you were the oldest. So was there anybody that you were able to consult? Or was it just like, I got to do this thing. This feels right. I got to, I'm just going to do it and, I'll make it. Or was there anybody that you were able to consult? And would you encourage people in this generation to take that same kind of advice?
I'll say this. I talked a lot with my boss. who is my board now.
Okay. All right.
I listened to his story, and he has an awesome testimony.
Right.
And he helped me to become at ease with making the decision, because I was concerned with what my mother would say. Do you know how much money you've spent, how much you've poured into this, and you're just going to walk away from it? And I had a mentor. She didn't know it. She didn't know she was my mentor.
Okay.
So I have to say
mentor. Got it.
She
Got
had
it.
no clue. I just would go and just little tidbits. I looked up to her. She was already in the construction field. She was a super woman. She did not look like me. She did not look like me.
Okay.
And so I did kind of, I took these moments to just pluck at her a little bit. And it wasn't until right before my appointment as president that she said to me, I saw it in you so very long ago. And she said, that's why I took the time to actually pour into you. So I would also suggest that let us not get too wrapped up in where the mentorship is coming from. And I just look at who's willing to pour into us, who's willing to, and of course, I didn't look at her just from the sole standpoint of her working in construction. I looked at her overall. Beautiful family, awesome husband, beautiful children. She was, and excuse me, the biggest thing is she loved God. I needed someone who was spiritually grounded too, because I was in a transitional moment too. So there were certain parameters that I started to look at. Didn't realize they were as important until later, but they were very important, because the advice that you receive from them usually is coming from their spiritual stance or their growth spiritually. So that made a huge difference for me too.
Let me ask. So let me make sure I'm hearing you right. So you got ready to make this pivot. You took the time to talk to the people who were already there. One of them was the person who started the business, who is now your board. And, he gave you a little bit of advice, but it doesn't sound like he made up your mind for you at all. And then you got a mentor in that field, and you began to pluck gems from her after you kind of assessed that this person would be a healthy individual in your life. And then after you got that, it seems as if you kind of sat back a little bit more to kind of mull it over, and then you began to make more moves.
And I have to add this, because the gentleman who is my board, he poured more into me, and when I say physically, he's the one that says, go get the degree in construction.
Okay.
He's the one that invited me to the meetings. And I'm going to use this term, and I hope I don't offend anyone. He brought me to the boys only meetings. So I had the opportunity to just listen and hear the conversations and hear how they were able to grow and even gain footholds in certain areas to be able to obtain those $40 million projects. Okay.
Right.
Because they don't just come. Trust me, they don't just come. They're structured in a manner to be able to push them into a certain company's lap. I like to say that. As much as we want to feel like it's a fair playing field and we can shape it and give you the picture of that, it's not always that way. So, but he really poured a lot into me as far as prepping me for what I would encounter. And as a minority female in a male-dominated field, I needed every bit of preparation. I've always had a little thick skin, but my skin had to become much thicker, trust me, to be able to maintain who I am. So I would remind any young person, don't expect just because you have the mentor in place or you have someone that's willing to walk with you that you're still not going to encounter. You will encounter some things.
Mhm.
It's the preparation, it's making sure that you're spiritually grounded and
Mhm.
understand that whatever he has for me is for me. It
Okay.
is for me. And I wouldn't do it solely for money.
Okay.
I love to encourage young people, don't do it solely for money, because money may take you down alleys that you may not know how to turn around from, or make a pivot, as the word you used.
Well, alleys
So
don't leave you a lot of room to pivot in the first place.
they sure don't. They sure
So
don't.
so speaking of that, one thing I also love, not only are you going back and building buildings in your home city, but you're also mentoring other girls,
Yes.
specifically looking at the
Yes.
construction industry. How
Yes.
important is it? And I hear it again in your story. How important is it was it for you to be able to see someone who took interest in you, and even just another woman in the industry that was able to
Mhm.
kind of take you under her wing a little bit?
Well, I'll say I am a part of a program called Magic, Mentoring a
Mm-hmm.
Girl in Construction. I love
Gotcha.
this program because when I tell you, majority of the young ladies that's in this program looks like me.
Mm-hmm.
And I am all about pouring into them. I have an opportunity to uh, kind of give them different facets
Mm-hmm.
of the construction industry. Um, we find sometimes with our younger generation, they figure it's from the classroom to management directly. And I've expressed to them, taking each step really does help, because
Okay.
it's going to help you, first of all, as a leader. So once you become that manager, you understand those that are around you in the steps that they're going through on a daily basis.
Right.
So to be able to mentor is one of those things that I think is vitally necessary for this next generation coming up. They are different in the sense that Google has become their friend,
Right.
mom and
That's
dad,
right.
and don't get me wrong, I battled it with my own child,
Mhm.
where I have had to tell her, if you open up Google to answer one more question, Google and I are gonna have it out, and you won't see Google anymore. So, but it's one of those things to help them to understand that there is someone that's here that wants to help you. We're not here to hinder you. And so I think that's one of the things that we need to, um, as those who are in the field, in any field that is, go
Mhm.
back, talk to our young people, help them to understand the path that you've taken, but not only understand the path you've taken, but also express to them some of the other paths that are available to them, because
Mm.
it's greater. There's no way I would have found magic in the 80s or the 90s.
Okay.
There were no females that I could put my hands on other than my mentor that was teaching and
Mm.
literally mentoring several young ladies at that time. So,
Gotcha. That sounds like it made a huge impact on your life. Just having those people who could pour into you as well, so that when you pivoted, you didn't pivot just completely blind. You took steps
right,
to find people who could lead you and guide you, and you had to be coachable. And
right,
that's one thing I have heard before, is that whenever you step on into a new level or a new place, you have to be okay with being an amateur again. So you
that's
may have
right,
had experience in the military as a nurse or a medical aide, and then you come out and go to school in a place where you're familiar, and then you step off into a completely new zone, and then you say, okay, I need somebody who can teach me something about these things. I need to be coachable, I need to be available, I need to be willing to learn, I need to be willing
yes,
to listen to this advice, I need to be
that's
willing
right,
to come into this space and know that this space is gonna have just as many challenges as the nursing, even though I'm more passionate about learning in this space.
that's
And
right,
I think that alone is incredible to your story, because many people would have dipped out. They would have left immediately when they hit that kind of resistance, especially in the time frame that you were doing it as a Black woman.
yes.
Um, that's nothing. That was nothing nice. So you deserve to be commended for that alone.
Thank you, Derek.
Definitely, yeah,
Thank you,
definitely.
thank you,
Well,
thank
well,
you.
look, for this episode, we're winding down a little bit. Tell
Okay.
us where we can find you and your company, so that anybody that got some construction needs, they can come to your business?
Okay. Well, on Instagram at Keisha Staff and Facebook. You're going to also find our company at Stafford Builders, Instagram and Facebook. So, and I am on LinkedIn at Keisha Stafford.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much for being with us. It was awesome. Thank you for taking your time, and it's so beautiful that you did so. Stories like yours need to be heard.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you,
Period.
Derek.
Period.
You've been awesome. Look, you helped me look really good. I just want to tell you. Thank you.
look, tell the truth. You've done some in the 70s. You was there was wasn't as many initiatives now as there was.
It is well.
You was pushing through some stuff. Look, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Waukesha Stafford, the president. I just want to drive that home a little bit. The president of Stafford Construction and Consulting. She is doing incredible things. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Please join us again, and we'll see you again next week. Other than that, be safe out there.
Thank you.